that? I just turned it. Hello? I'm scared. No, those, no.
We would have blew them up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this thing is picking up really, really well. You can move, yeah.
Turn it on. Let's find out now.
It's on.
Next month. I didn't want to, because we're waiting on the mics and everything, but they may not be in, so.
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's on. Mine's on too.
1, 2, 1, 2. Can you hear me? Yes, you can. A little bit. 1, 2, 3.
Mine's
1, 2. There we go.
1, 2, 3.
Not too loud.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. Sure gets our attention, doesn't it?
There we go. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 5 o'clock workshop starting at 5:02. I'm late, so we'll call the workshop to order. First thing on the list is citizens' comments. So this is an opportunity for members of the public to suggest the addition of topics for discussion or to address topics of interest with the presentation limited to 3 minutes, please. All speakers conduct themselves in an orderly and lawful manner. All speakers will be recognized prior to speaking by calling your name, and will announce your name and address, please, for the record, to be included in the minutes. State law prohibits the mayor and members of council from commenting on any statement or engaging in dialogue without an appropriate agenda item posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Law. Ms. Donna, you are first up. You're up.
Loop, you got it? 112 Great West Loop. Okay, I just had a couple questions, and I probably know the answers to them, but this is a workshop session, and probably because we didn't have a resolution, maybe that we're doing the Mayor Pro Tem thing all over again. So, yeah, I see a nod. The other thing is, and I know this was real important to the council, and it was supposed to be on the council meeting last month with the staggered terms, and I know how important that is to our citizens and how important it is to the council, but I notice it's being addressed at the workshop session where you can't take action once again. So anyway, I just want to say, can we please make sure it's on a regular voting agenda? So I guess in June, because I think I know it's real important to y'all too, so I'm sure it's just an oversight. And the other thing I just wanted to say, and maybe this is for the other session, but I want you to be very mindful of the financial picture. We don't have a lot of information. And so I just want to caution the council, and I'm sure you all are very cautious and very conservative in our fiscal responsibilities, but I know there was one time that our finances were misrepresented to us. What we had was quite a while back, and we were approving different things based on what was written, what was given to us, and thank God things weren't adding up to me. And I said, take a break. We've got to find out where we are. And I think we're kind of at this point now, because I know, and the girls, and believe me, I know y'all are working so hard. This is not a criticism. You guys are amazing, the stuff you're getting done. But I just want to caution the council too, you really have some good, solid figures that you can look at and say yes, because you don't know what your unrestricted funds are. And I think there's a lot of restrictions right now on the funds. So I know we got a big work project, but I'm just saying, I know it's not popular to halt on projects, but I'm just saying I would caution you to not be approving big expenditures until we can get those figures. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Since it's on our agenda, I feel comfortable discussing this with you. I think it's one of the first times we've been able to do that. So just real quick, a summary on staggered terms, and we'll cover this again. I'll summarize it in the actual meeting. So the reason it's on the workshop tonight is what we're going to do is ultimately discuss. Assuming that council approves it, then we will give guidance to the city manager and the staff to come back to us in July. That gives them about 6 weeks with an exact proposal, researching cost, talking to Neil about the ins and outs about potentially moving the election from May to November. We're looking at that. And then the process to determine who's going to draw straws or however that's going to work. So there will be some action taken tonight. I will tell you, well, I shouldn't say it that way. We will either provide the city manager with guidance to move forward and get us the data for July, or it will go away for the next 2 years. It is going to be on July only because the June meeting is 2 weeks away, and I want to make sure that staff has enough time to work with Neil to get all the legalities right. So in July, what I'm hoping for is a final proposal where we can present you, this is staggered terms, this is who's running again, this is the election date, and then, associated cost.
And maybe even a couple options
Yeah,
of implementing staggered terms, keeping May as our election, not implementing staggered terms, implementing staggered terms and moving it to November. So I think there's going to be a couple options presented, right?
yeah, and go ahead, jump in.
If we can get a consensus on what council's looking for, that will be the deliverable. But other alternatives, we can add that. I'm just saying we need to have some direction so we kind of know how to, because, for example, if it's election cost, there was some perceptions about that we found wasn't actually accurate. And so I think just really knowing what the consensus is, where you want us to go and what you want us to prepare for, that should be the first thing. And then ask Neil, like you said, some alternatives to that. But we need to be prepared that night in July to say you're really ready to take action. Or if the discussion tonight turns different and the answer is no, then we just move on with something else. Because it's going to be, I guess my point is it's going to be an action item. And even though it can change midterm or midstream with a regular session, the intent is to know what your intent is so we can go ahead and bring that paperwork forward in the manner in which Neil wants it in order for you all to take action and it's done and over with. Okay. I think we're saying the same thing.
Ms. Denise.
Well, I'm dittoing Denise Seibert, 114 Great West Loop. We do need the staggered terms. Most government officials do staggered terms so we don't end up with a whole bunch of new people. It is good to have new, fresh blood in this, but it is common sense to do the staggered terms. There was a rumor at the Capitol, I haven't checked it out, that they were going to move all elections to November, which to me makes common sense because then it will not cost us as much. But we do need to have the staggered terms, please. And please make sure that you do enact this in July. We've been waiting 2 years now. That's a long time to get this in. So let's look at this, please.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Okay, that was the only two there. All right, we'll move on to our regular agenda. And the first thing is 25036, discuss staggered terms for city council members. So I do want to point out that there is a spelling error on there, and we're going to correct that. So if I can get a proposal to change staggered to staggered.
Right. I'll be glad to do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
in DS 25036, on the agenda, change staggered, S-T-A-G-G-A-R-D, to staggered, S-T-A-G-G-E-R-D.
okay, any discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, proposal to change that, please. I was educated too that means a male red-tailed deer or something, so, okay. Anyway, it is a thing, so, okay.
Word.
Go ahead.
Why spell check did.
But the blame falls with me, okay? So that was my mistake and I apologize for it. Go ahead.
Okay, so
about it.
25036, discuss staggered terms. So I will just open it up for council for any discussion. Bruce, specifically you. Go ahead, Dennis.
No, I'm just counting.
Yeah, specifically want to hear from you, and then your three colleagues, if there's anything that you want to add or change or discuss before we kind of put it to a vote. So anything, and I'm not calling you out, but just your thoughts if you have any on.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, we do need to do staggered terms. We need to implement that. We need to get it in place. We all sat there at the meet and greet. Every one of us said we're in favor of staggered terms. So, I agree it needs to happen. How it's going to happen, that's gonna be up to, legal to tell us how that's gonna work out the best. But I also think that it would behoove us to move the election to November to save that money, whatever it is. I don't even know how much an election
Yeah.
costs, but it's not cheap. Move that to November as well instead of the May that it is right now.
Agree.
How we go through this selection process of who's gonna be, drawn, if you wanna say a short straw or a lotto or however that it comes up the easiest to do, I'm in favor of it.
Roxanne, Dorothy?
Well,
Stephen,
I
any other
just-
discussion?
Well, just was going to say, I'm glad we're looking at this thoroughly so that by July we can vote on it. Won't make any difference if we vote on it today or in July, because it's still going to be a year. Well, we're all going to serve at least 1 year, Lord willing, and all that. So I think, but I agree with everything that was said. And I too would like to consider a November change.
Echo the same thing. I think staggered terms, as we learned the first year of this experience, that it sure would have been helpful to have a couple people that were a little bit more vetted. So totally agree. Let's get it done, whatever we have to do to get it done. I also think the November thing is a brilliant idea as well.
I ditto everything. It might not be our option for November if the legislature passes it. It will be mandatory.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so what I'm hearing from council is we want to move forward with staggered terms, ask the city manager and staff to start preparing the data on staggered terms, specifically to look at cost, to look at the legalities, options to move, if we can't move, options for May, and then how we select who's running. That sound about right?
Sounds good.
And how we would switch to November if we had to.
Yeah,
Hopefully Neil will have some guidance on that.
You will, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as drawing straws, but we gotta do it legally.
Have we learned anything legally or about staggered terms?
Only thing I can tell you is the election cost I had, Kim Hill started looking at that, talking to the county on that probably about a month ago. What was the results of that roughly?
Okay, okay, thanks.
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
certainly.
Okay, I've got everybody that's here tonight, what your preference is, yes on staggered terms, and move election to November. My question is just to reaffirm, you're looking for costs for elections, you're looking for options, as in, can you clarify the options you're all looking for? And I think you're the one that started, Dorothy, didn't you say some alternatives as well? Can you give some idea, so he can say, well, what kind of alternatives?
One option, I think, is yay or nay. Are we gonna adopt staggered terms? And then the other option is May or November. I
Okay.
think.
Well, okay.
How to, which should come from Neil.
Well, right. Well, all of it's going to come from Neil. I'm not going to get involved in that. I just want to make sure the election costs we can provide, but we'll make sure everything's set up and provided what he needs, the support he needs to provide that information to you. Most of it he'll have either way. Okay.
Now, when you say election costs, I mean, that's just third-party charges, or if you were just getting an invoice, but we have internal costs of,
That's true, but I mean, the biggest, you have staff already paid on, they're already paid staff, so the biggest, and I think the biggest thing is the rental of the machine and the people that help run it, right? And at $3,000, I think I was told it's going to be significantly more, or if the county would even do it. Well, the county will do it, from my understanding, annually. So whether it's November, whether it's December, is a call that you all ultimately make in July. The cost is something we already budget for, so there's no major shift in the budget process. So that's kind of stuff I'm looking at.
they'll still physically be in Morgan's Point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So just for clarification, because someone might be asking this or wondering this, again, I don't care when it is. But if we were to approve it in July, then we would have an election in November, which would be essentially 5 months, 4 months, right?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you.
I would
I'm not-
recommend
Right.
that we go.
I think
I
that
just want
would,
to, we need to be clear for everybody to hear so that someone's like, oh, they did it again, you know? I want to be very
Really good
clear.
I think that's,
That's what I was,
May of '26 or November of '26.
yeah, I think those are like, in my mind, you had the three options. It's, we stick with May, we try to hand jam something this November, which is going to be problematic, I think. And then the other one is carrying forward all the way through November, so.
one of the legal,
In 1 year.
one of
Well, I
the
don't
legal
either, but
questions.
I just want to put it out on the record that it's out in the open.
So one of the legal questions with that could be, if we had an election this November, then the remaining council would actually serve 2.5 years, and they were voted for a 2-year term. So would that be legal? That would be my question.
For what it's worth, I don't think, I think what it is once it's approved, that's when you're on the clock. Nothing happens retrospectively when it comes to governing bodies. Not that I'm aware of. So I think that's what's going to happen. So you'll be moving forward probably 1 year, but someone will, whoever draws the short straws, however you all decide to do it, I think that's how it works. Either way, I got my direction. We'll provide the stuff to you all and move forward. And if we can bring anything on the 10th for any kind of FYI, we'll bring that to you. If not, it will be, well, I'm talking about as a discussion to continue on, just in case someone, if we're ready, we're ready. If we're not,
Yeah, absolutely.
then,
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys can work miracles and we're ready on the 10th, and yeah. Nope, holding you to it now. You said it. Okay, any other discussion on staggered terms? Okay, we'll move on to 25037, which is discuss resolution electing Roxanne Stryker as a mayor pro tem for the 2025-26 term. I don't think I'm going to misspeak, but essentially we failed to do the resolution last time. Dennis, is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's why it's back on. So that's all it is unless there's any discussion on it or any issues with it, and we will move on and address that in the regular meeting.
I just want to point out one thing in the resolution. It says that we voted on it at a regularly scheduled meeting, and this is a special session. So I think the resolution needs to change to say special session.
Oh, it actually, yeah, I don't know. Is that?
Did Neil have anything to say about that? I'm sure, I don't see anything wrong with it. Neil? Did Neil provide this, or did we? Okay. Honestly, yeah, it is not a regular session. Special sessions clearly by law, so I'm sure he won't have a problem with it. And
And we have a quorum.
you do,
So it's all
you do,
legal,
you do. It's all 4 and above, so we're good. So yes, I think we're fine on it.
That's not on the agenda. Okay, 25038, 2024-25 audit engagement letter with Brooks Watson and Company, and I'm going to hand that one over to you.
Yes, sir. I'm going to ask Mary to come up. And I want to thank Mary for the things she's doing. I know it's not an easy lift to do all the things we're doing. You'll hear more going on tonight, but there's a lot of stuff you see in the background, you don't see that's in the background. So I do appreciate what Mary's doing, and Amanda as well, and all the people pulling that wagon. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening. In your packet, you should have received a copy of the engagement letter that was sent over to the city back in November. And so you'll see in our other updates, but we're almost ready to start the 23-24. So we need your permission to have Mr. Dennis Baldwin, our city manager, sign off and get everything going for the 23-24, 24-25 audits. So you have the breakdown of what the costs will be. We're almost there with the 22-23, so I'll have an update. But we can't start 23-24 officially, although we've been collecting. I sent you all the questionnaires because I know they're going to ask for it. So we've been doing some of the stuff preemptively because we know that it's going to be coming.
So basically, the discussion on this, the way I understand it, is that we want to reapprove Brooke Watson, and then we want to approve the costs. Other than that, I think that's it on this agenda item, but I would like to request for the next meeting, or July is fine, a audit status report.
You're going to get that tonight. For the 23, you're going to get one tonight.
23, 24, 25,
23,
3,
24.
24, 25, and then where are we on the special audit? And where are we on the 1920? What are we doing about it? Like, where are we
Okay,
actually on all the audits?
All right.
On one piece of paper?
Yes.
you'll have the one for the 23, 24, excuse me, 22, 23 tonight in a piece of paper, I
Okay.
believe, right?
Well, we have I put it on the PowerPoint
Okay.
because the letter, they finished the bank reconciliations already for 22, 23. That's part of the audit, so that's part of they're going to bill us already because we're halfway through the 22, 23. We're on the interim and the finishing parts of 22, 23. So we're almost,
And a special audit's part of that. They have to have it done before they can do a special audit. So both of those are, and it won't cost as much as the original audit. It's going to be, it should be a fraction, like I'm saying, it could be 7,500, it could be 3,500, I don't know. It's just one major item.
Right. And my sensitivity is, if you look on page 6, they give us a kind of, this is how we anticipate the audit going, when it starts, and when the report will be delivered. And for us, that has never held. So in this proposal, they're offering some timing. We're already 7 months behind on this timing for this year's audit. So I want to know what the staff is willing to commit to and what the auditors are willing to commit to. Because we've had so many stutter steps on this.
And the number one reason for that setback every single time has more to do with staff and the deliverables than it has with anything else. Whether that's either, my job to make sure they get it, but Mary can probably highlight that. Go ahead and do it since we're talking this
Okay.
anyway.
we can kind of open this one up, I guess, because it has on a little update on the audit. The finance monthly update. So, so far for the audit for 22-23, the bank reconciliations are completely done. And along with, yes, they're done. The thing that is, I don't want to say holding us back, but holding us back is not that staff isn't trying, because everybody has been pitching in. I've sent emails to Camille, to Catrice, to Alex, even Nadia's getting involved. It's the location of the documents in order for them to clear us. So yes, they have a calendar, but it's incumbent upon us to meet that calendar. And there's some documents that Alex said, like for court dismissals and things like that, voided. Those documents we cannot find. We probably have to go to a warehouse. And then there was questions on whether or not some of those documents may not even be available at all, period.
Well, I think that's a negotiating point with the auditors. Look, we've spent 8
Yeah.
hours looking for these documents. We cannot find them. We are in a hole. We've got to get out. Give us an adverse opinion, and let's get on with the next year. Because I know you guys are killing yourselves. And so I'm interested really in expediting this.
I think everybody's on the same sheet of music, council. I hope you understand. This is, I won't call it a total mess, but it takes time. And the people that were a part of this process that slowed us down are no longer here. So either we cooperate and work together and get this stuff done, which I can assure you that is being done. And if it wasn't, I would tell you, I was not satisfied from everything to the information council was receiving, to the delays, the reasoning, and what have you. A lot of those factors have been removed from being impediments.
I guess let's not beat ourselves up anymore.
Well, but
Let's
you haven't got all the briefings tonight.
cut our
When you-
losses.
No, well, but you need to hear what I got to say during the city manager updates on other things. There's a reason, all this stuff needs to be going down. Every one of you are right in the frustration, but at the same time, don't lose focus this close. We are moving the needle. I don't want to see us not get this stuff done. So please, just work with this and hear the complete night tonight, and you'll see it's not as easy as we think. This dates back many years. So let's just try to do the best we can.
Oh, that's what I'm saying
and-
too. If you can't find it, you can't find
Yeah,
it.
but the thing is, we may have those records. When you start saying and picking and choosing, say we don't have it, and when we do, I don't really feel comfortable with that. I want to dig and see if we can honestly make an attempt to recover those documents. If we can't, If we can't, then obviously we'll report we don't have them. Can you give us something else to test on? But the testing is important, so.
Yeah, and I just, again, want to say that everybody has been trying to help. I mean, I don't even have 90 days yet, I don't think. And for the first 30, I really didn't have access to a lot. I was dependent on Nadia, Catrice, Amanda, and everyone to give me some reports because I literally didn't have access. We didn't have access to logins to do some of the back payments and stuff like that. We have all of that now. So within the past 30 days, we really have, I mean, and I want, Amanda, that's one of the reasons I wanted you here, because she has learned and helped so much in the amount of time that I've had her than I had with what I had. That's all I'm going to say. And so it is, for instance, you know, IRS, we found out we were late on sales tax for 22, 23. We were missing IRS going back to 21, 21. So all of that is just not a matter of finding it and paying it, because that'll show up on your bank, balance. But to reconcile that with the general ledger, it's not just, and I was talking to Mr. Baldwin about this, because there are errors even in payroll. It's not just a matter of moving people. The system inherently is coded in a way so when you move money from one account to another and you do increase and decreases, you're not just doing 2 accounts. You're actually doing 4, and then in the background, you're actually doing 8. You're actually doing 8. And so what Nicola was able to find, because we were all, and I always, divine intervention, but we were all looking at different things. She was looking at one thing, I was looking at another, Dennis was looking at another. I was like, this is not right, this cannot be right. And literally at the same time, we were all like, it's got to be this. And sure enough, it was the calculations on how things were entered in, how they were coded was incorrect. So and Dennis, Mr. Baldwin has always asked me, where are we, almost every day. I go into his room and I see his board, and he always asks me about the revenue and expenditures. Where are we? And literally today, even before the meeting, what was Amanda doing? We've already met with Nicola like 2 times. I called her in the morning. I even was on the phone with them yesterday. And then before this meeting,
That's the third
yes,
party.
yeah.
Accounting firm doing our bank reconciliation.
Yes, but it has been, it has been a task to go back, not only fixing this.
Don't hear me say that you guys aren't working your little tushes off. Please, don't hear me say that. I am saying, let's go forward.
Well, let me
Let's
tell you,
get this behind us as quick as we can. Let's come up with some reasonable time.
That's what I'm assuring the council that we're doing. What I don't want to do is lose, I want to keep our eye on the prize. And it's not just the ones that we talked about tonight. You're going to get a briefing going back to, I want to close 19 and 20. I have no choice to recommend that because there's problems. You're going to see it here in a little bit. The problem is, you can't turn on a dime. You can't turn it even fast. It's a lot of stuff in here. And if I didn't see, before I didn't see it, I wasn't satisfied with it. I wasn't going to get ahead of myself because I didn't know for sure. But I know pretty well now that what we were doing was not accurate reporting stuff to council. I knew the numbers didn't jive. You can't even tell me that it was even close when you don't have the budget versus actual. So that is the kind of thing that I don't want to lose where we're heading. If everybody's patient, we are moving as fast as possible, and no one's, if I see any hiccups, they'll probably tell you, I'm not tolerant of that. At the same time, I'm not unreasonable to think that there's, hope is not a strategy. I want to see the results, the deliverables, and that's where we're at. So just.
And if we can get the banks reconciled,
There-
I mean, that pops out
Yes.
a lot of discrepancies.
It does.
And then you can go, okay, why did that happen?
Well-
Why did it not get recorded? And then you can see, is it still happening?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
was that a one-time blip? So those bank reconciliations are the absolute key.
You're preaching to the choir. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
That's why I'm excited. Got 23 behind us, 24 is almost done.
You've got the in-writing bank reconciliations are complete, pending interim final administrative documents. You've gotten that, IRS pay dates, journal entries, completed sales tax. Those are the things weren't even hitting the books. Ain't gonna go to reasons. So all this from 22, 23, and 24, 25, you're seeing something in writing tonight. That said, we're gonna push as fast as we can. And we've already heard back from the auditors and the CPA, which is Peacock, how they want to know, I guess, when Mary sleeps, So right there.
Yeah.
So let's keep focused where we're going, and I think.
I
it'll
just,
actually end up
I
with
just,
a-
I know, I hear you, what you're saying, and I really appreciate it, but at the same time, if we get multiple years of adverse audits, it will affect the city long-term in terms of grant awards,
They're
investment.
going to give us the audit we deserve, to be honest.
Do what?
So they're going to give us the audit we deserve. They're going to give us the opinion we deserve. So don't get too,
Okay.
you don't own that, okay?
Well, the thing of it is, though, that goes back to what I was speaking to earlier. If there's a chance to recover the documents, I want to make a full faith credit, because I don't want to start having those hits, because it does have an impact. One in a blue moon is fine, but, you know, when you have the lack of doing them, then you have them off the rails, and we're not doing anything. If it's not there, believe me, it's what you get. But at the same time,
Hopefully, it's nothing significant. If it's like not dismissing a warrant, I'm sorry, write us up on that.
No,
But we're not going to spend 8 hours going to look
We're not
for a
talking-
dismissal of, well, that's the example she gave.
Well-
So I'm saying, you hear me, I hear you. Okay, we're good.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so do you want me to just go ahead and finish this audit update, so since we're already there? Okay, so we need that engagement letter signed so we can mosey along. The bank reconciliations for 23-24 are 75% complete. I also want to just remind you that up until April, none of them were done. So, I mean, Eddie, the Peacock, Nicola, they're wonderful. I mean, we are constant contact. We're downloading things, we're communicating. Amanda also, I mean, they already know. They're like, she'll tell me, you're busy doing this, I'll show Amanda, just let me talk to Amanda. And I'm like, okay, but I want to be there. So I really can't stress enough how grateful I am to Amanda helping us, the city, get through all this. IRS, we owed some back pay for the IRS, and those were paid. And all the journal entries for those were done, as well as some of the sales tax. Right now, we have 3 months of bank reconciliations for 24-25 done, is what I was told. Some of the things that were pending for this year, which is still on my list, but it's on the list, but there's priority on top of that. Is still doing a budget review. We do know that there's still some payroll account reconciliation. We have some employees that are getting paid for the most part correctly, but they're getting paid out of the wrong account number. So let's just say you were supposed to get paid $1,000 out of 6112, you're getting it paid out of 6113. And is it as easy just to fix it? But again, you have to go back and find out the accruals, the days that they worked, what was the overtime, and all the fringe benefits, the TRMS, the RRS, I mean, all of the fringes that go along, you have to recalculate that as well to see if there's any impact. So Nicola's aware of that. We have the people identified, and so that's something that we'll be doing once things kind of slow down a little bit. So I just want to let you know that is still pending. Review of budget adjustments to cover overages for anticipated expenses should hopefully be included by July. Phase 1, you have some of that today. You'll get another phase 2 in June. Fiscal year reconciliation for expenses from prior year to current year, that's some of the things that you have right now in the budget amendments for fiscal year 24, doing carryover of expenses as well as revenues. And I just want to remind everybody that as we're cleaning up this year, and again, I want to thank the department heads. We have Taryn, Pitts, everybody. They know this money, this bill wasn't supposed to be this year. It was for last year. And so that's some of the stuff that you have today. That's some of the stuff that you received. And so we're going as we can get all of the documentation together so that we can bring that to you. It's going to be coming in phases. Budget amendments, as I mentioned a little earlier, that's something that I kind of feel needs to kind of be like a standing agenda item, because we're always, if we find something we already know, it's there. I'll bring you the documentation, hopefully by the information I provide for you today. You'll see that, like we were waiting to see if FEMA would send us more money. And so I didn't want to send anything out because I wanted to include FEMA. Because then once you get it and we vote on it, then we really don't want to be making amendments. And so that was my hesitation for not sending anything out sooner. Because if FEMA would have done a direct deposit today before the meeting, guess what? I wanted it to put it in right away. And
We
so,
can always have special sessions.
yeah,
So, you know, if it doesn't hit a meeting, you know, when it hits, then let's do a special session in a couple weeks. I mean, if we have to meet a couple times a month to get through this and to get through the budgeting, I think this council's pretty roll up your sleeves and get involved, so please don't hesitate. You don't have to wait till once a month, okay? Not every week,
yeah, no. Well,
every other week.
I think for like the recognizing of the revenues and expenditures, that we can really just do it once a month. I think that would be okay, unless there's like an emergency. We already know if it's for the safety or whatever, we can go ahead and do what we need to do, which is something that's part of the budget amendment that we need to go over. So I think that was the engagement letter. I don't know if, I was next anyway, so do you want me to continue with the?
Mayor, go ahead and move forward.
Yeah, no, if there's no other issues with the
don't we do it
engagement letter,
again?
we're gonna keep on trucking.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The proposed amendments is the next packet that you have before you, the PowerPoint, I should say. And it's going to go along with the ordinance. So the ordinance 25008, we had some TML insurance payments that came in, and they were cashed before October 1st. So we received $30,877.51 for TML. So we're going to recognize that in the year, the fiscal year that it needs to be in. And then we also had a police vehicle that was budgeted for that was, I guess, ordered. However, it did not come in or invoiced until fiscal year '25. And the budget for that was $76,000, but the vehicle ended up costing $80,900. And so to balance what we needed to there, you have the increase of the revenue, and then you have zeroing out that $76,000, but you're going to see it 76 plus the 4,900 in fiscal year 2025 ordinance.
So let me make sure I understand the first two, because it looks like you're going in and out of the same account.
Correct.
But you're basically taking money that we received in 2024, and when was it recorded on the books?
It hasn't been. That's why we're recording it in the $30,877.51. That's why it says revenue to be recognized.
So you're going to record it in
24.
24 when it was received.
When it was received, and then I'm letting you know that we're going to end up moving it from 24 to 25, because the repairs are being done in 25. They were not done in 24.
So you're recognizing the revenue, the period in which you receive it.
In
And we're
24.
moving, once that's recognized, now we can move that as a budget carry forward to the fiscal year '25, where the actual invoices were dated
Okay.
for those repairs.
Right, right. And so I spoke to Eddie, and I said, just for clarity, this was the best way so that everybody could see it. So that way, when they get to the audit, if there's any questions why we did what we did, we're going to attach this to the budget amendment to what we're going to be doing in FundView, and they'll understand why we're moving it, we put it in 24, and why it's getting moved to 25 to cover for expenses. And you'll see it again. And then the vehicle that's budgeted, if you go to 24, you'll see 76,000. We're zeroing that out. Okay? So if you go to the next page.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, 25008 is fixing 24,
Yes, ma'am.
and 25009 is fixing 25.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we received, so back on '08, we did receive the other TML check, 163,000.
Yes, ma'am, but it wasn't cashed until October 1st, which made it a fiscal year 2025 revenue.
Even though it's dated.
Yes, we spoke to the auditors
Okay.
to make sure, and because that's when it was printed, but that wasn't when we received, and when it was deposited, it goes to fiscal year '25.
Got to be, recognized as well as available. And it's not available until you actually get it deposited in a check. And then, okay, there you go. And it's October 1, or no, October
was-
7th.
No, it was October 1st.
First?
October 7th was the vehicle for the police department.
Anyway, so Yeah, so those invoices were all actually paid in October of this fiscal year. So moving those dollars to 76,000, even though it's short, will make up the rest with some
I
of the
understand
revenue,
that
stuff
one.
like that.
I was talking about the TML insurance reimbursement checks,
But we didn't recognize that, and we didn't get posted in the bank until
25.
25.
Then one more question. We're going to recognize the insurance proceeds of the 30 in 24. Now, were any of those expenses paid in 24?
No, they're all 25.
They're all
This year,
25. That's why we're moving it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
clarification on that, I was gonna chase that rabbit too. So looking at that law sheet, and again, I've never worked with TML
Yes.
insurance at all whatsoever, but there's recoverable depreciation that hasn't been addressed on our,
Not yet.
and here's where I'm going with this. It's been a year since the claim, and normally you have to file an extension. So have we filed an extension?
We got the actual money already. You talking about for
Get
TML?
all of it.
No, it's still like 7,500 bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then honestly, you have supplements you can get too, because the reality is if you look at what they paid for some of these things, you can't get a window for $102.
Right, and
And so this is a huge claim, like, and ironically,
I
it's
think
my wheelhouse right now.
yeah, I think one of the questions or one of the comments that was made is that some of this has not totally been completed. I think the city hall renovations, right, everything that was on here, I don't think has been completed. But once it is, you're correct, we can submit paperwork. And I do not know if everything that has been completed has been submitted or not.
Well, what I would say is I would reach out to TML and I would say,
Okay.
hey, realize it's been a year since our claim. We're still getting repairs. Normally you have to file a document.
Well, 118,000, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, is from the Marina Fund. We
Yeah,
actually
there's
fixed
one.
that.
Yeah, the total amount of the check was $163,900.
And the repairs were done in this year, so there's a 6-month lag, probably, I'm guessing.
It's all in the same year, revenue and expenses.
Not for the 30,000 that,
Not for the 30, but you said the
Marina, for example.
Yeah.
18,
We got that.
all in 25.
Yes,
No,
Hasn't
no,
been
the
fixed.
Marina has
Right.
been fixed.
right. And so until that part gets done,
Yes.
oh,
118,000, I think we spent for the Marina to get it fixed. Was that what it cost?
uh,
Was the Marina fixed?
It says Dock A, so I think that is the walkway.
Probably.
So that stuff's been fixed back when it occurred. We drew it from fund balance, and now that money's going back into to replace that money that was spent earlier.
Okay, so we're recognizing the revenue in 25.
but I understand what you're saying.
Expenses were recognized in
I'll look into
24.
it. Got it.
We just have to keep that straight because I don't want it to be perceived that we have revenue in 25. No, we really don't. It's a reimbursement of expenses that we've already spent.
And it's not earmarked for anything. It rolls right back into the fund balance.
Okay,
That's the whole purpose behind that.
Yeah.
Unless it's been, you see us bring it and saying we want to spend it, it's another story, but that's not.
I know it's confusing between the 2 years. I just want to make sure they net at the end of the day.
And the auditors have been a part of the fact they read all this
Yes.
before we came here tonight.
Yes, I sent it and I said, okay, because they're the ones that said you can't put it into the general revenue. You have to recognize it first as insurance proceeds. And so I've been in contact with them because I know that, like I said, as we're cleaning up this year, we're also cleaning up 23, 24. And as we're finding things out, it's going back further. So, I mean, every day is a new revelation of sorts.
Well, and I'm not a
Back to
CPA. I was just
Yeah.
going back to the
Yeah.
actual claim itself.
Or I agree, I understand.
That claim needs to be addressed.
Right,
Make
because-
sure that we don't lose.
Any of that additional money for the recap when you do it. Same thing like when you do a roof repair.
Exactly.
They give you, once you
Well,
do
some of
it,
this
they,
is that same thing.
yeah,
I mean, there is, 100 squares of roof on there.
yeah.
or more.
So I
That's a
include,
good point,
yeah.
So,
because there's money still out there. Okay.
So I included some of the backup that we received. So there is also a check that was received for the event center for a burglary that took place. And that check came in November the 22nd, 2024. So that's part of the insurance proceeds. That's part of the ordinance that comes before you. And I listed it for you. That makes part of that $76,231.48. So you have the vehicle repairs, and then you have some of the damages for property. And then we have bringing over that 76,000 expense for the police vehicle. Then we have the repairs, that 30,851, that's a carryover of fiscal year 2024. Then we have the marina, everything is coded to 15, insurance proceeds at $118,594.12. And then like what is it that we're proposing for this fiscal year? We do have out of the general revenue, out of the fund balance, there is in this ordinance a recommendation to decrease the $600,000 there that is not all restrictive. There is a portion that is non-restrictive, and from that non-restrictive amount, we want to decrease it $156,000, $377.58. And
Now,
Let-
the way I understand that, and I'm glad you have this report here, because that's coming out of the last two pages. The 20 is the CIP fund, and that 600,000 is transferring from the general fund to fund capital for 25. So that's what that account is.
yes, ma'am.
But that account makes up several different funding sources.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you got
Yes,
that?
but
Okay.
600 comes from general. So that's why she has it. But what is the 156?
That 156 is going to come out of the 600, but it's broken down, and part of it is the
29,000.
229, we always say 29.99, thousand that's unrestricted, that is not part of, that was earmarked for special projects like for the sidewalks and projects that were already previously approved by the council. And so the big question is, okay, well, where do we want it to go? And part of it is to help fund not only a fire mitigation
Can
FT.
you hold off just for a second? So I want them to really understand where this is going as far as the funding source for what we're doing tonight. One is there's 600,000 set aside. A lot of that money was restricted in the fund balance, albeit in the fund balance, you couldn't use it for anything else. It's got to be used for roads, and it had built up over the years. 175,000 ballpark, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. That, and then you had money earmarked from last year that was not spent, that was moved into that fund for this year. That was 75,000, I believe. Plus you get about 60,000 every year in that for the streets, for road sales tax. So collectively, that's what that is. If you remember last year, one of the concerns we had is that debt's going to fall off. And if we didn't maintain that tax rate, we would not have the same amount of money we needed to operate this year. So the tax increase was about 4.5 cents, I believe it was. It's 62.385 or something like that. That money, instead of spread in all different accounts, is intentionally put into this account there. So if some reason there was a back off requirement, which here we have one, if you all agree, there was one place to look for that money. I didn't have to go looking throughout all these different things where we sent and beefed it up on that 3%. So that's why that 229,000, that $600,000 fund balance, 229,000, if I'm not mistaken, was from that sales tax, and it went straight for the roads. There's a competing priority that we're asking tonight for you all to consider that is more important than roads, in my opinion. It's your decision how you all want to do it. But I thought, one, you need to know where that money is coming from. It's not coming from restricted funds. It's not coming from fund balance. It's coming from that 229 that we set aside as a result of the tax increase from last year because we dumped it all in roads. So that
We're
said,
basically taking money out of what we budgeted for roads,
yes,
and we're going to fund, or you're proposing that we fund the wood chipper, brush removal, 17,000 in some building
Yeah.
maintenance, and then the new wildfire mitigation.
and that's,
But, okay, so the road was a one-time budget. When you budget roads for 600,000 in 1 year, then once you either spend it or don't spend it, but if you're adding an employee, which is what this mitigation is doing, that's in perpetuity until we change that position. So you're taking money that is meant earmarked for 1 year, and you're spreading it.
partly
over
right,
multiple
partly
years.
correct. When I said the tax rate, that tax rate was 229,000. That is not, that is a repeating number. The other money that was restricted, you're correct, that is a one-time shot that's been accumulated in the fund balance over these years. And so when you use that, that's gone. Or if we use that 75,000, that's gone. That's a one-time expense that you wouldn't want to line salary and benefits with. However, the 229, remember what I said, it came from the tax increase, and now all those dollars went into that fund.
That's not what this budget adjustment is saying. This budget adjustment is saying that you're going to take it out of this account,
That has 600,000 in it.
yeah, that has 600,000 in one account in 1 year. And we're going to take $156,000 out of that. But then next year, I know we don't have to do the brush truck, but if we're going to fund the wildfire mitigation, that's going to be funded 90,000 in perpetuity. So you can't take it out of 1 year. How are you going to fund the rest of the years?
Okay, if we raise the taxes, we got new money and a new tax rate. I'll just play it, just let me talk for a
I
second. if you
understand
will.
what you're saying.
So you do that, you have, it's no difference than if you raise the tax for any other purpose, for a new program and a new service. Those dollars, unless the tax rate drops, or unless we end up reallocating, or you all reallocate to somewhere else, those dollars can be expected on the tax rolls every year's coming in. It's the two, you're saying, I think the 600,000 is there, but Mary, you can tell her what I told you about that 229. I think that might give you your
So we're going to
reassurance.
take the tax increase for this year and use it on something other than what was budgeted. Because I thought when we budgeted property taxes and we budgeted the related expenses against it, and, you know, we had almost an even budget when you pull stuff out of reserves, but we had already spent that $200,000 in the expenses in the budget.
Well,
So I
we-
know it was incremental year over year, but if you just look at 25 standalone, we brought in this amount of money in property taxes, and we budgeted that amount of expenses.
But that expense is what we're saying is, that's what a budget amendment does. It's taking what was originally there and lowering it by the 156,000 in order, so that original 600,000 now goes down to 143,000. So that is to absorb the cost of these changes that we're asking for. So your expense is lower, so they will align. It's no different than what you originally adopted. You're just taking the money from your,
In essence, then, it will come out of roads, because.
it is going to come out of roads, yes. Yes, that is correct.
Because there, when you look at the capital fund on its own, we put in $600,000
Yes.
from the general fund.
Right.
And it was going to be spent on 350 capital improvement, 170 capital replacement, 600 roads.
Yes,
So we need to pull it out of the expense account.
that's what she's
not
doing.
No, this says revenue.
Well,
Okay,
Coming out of a revenue account. It should come out of 6,300, which would be the expense. And then we just all have to agree that, you know, this is important and we're going to reduce the amount we have budgeted for roads and we're going to fund these other projects. I think that's the bottom line.
is 4470 an expense account,
No,
Mary?
it's a revenue account.
it's a revenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
The expense side
Yeah.
is going to lower as well. And the money that came in from there,
I'm fine if we all agree, but it's just that account number's a revenue account.
well, I'll check the
confusing to me.
revenues.
Yeah.
I got what you're saying. I'll check
Yeah.
the revenues, but
Okay, so it's
the
like-
reality of it is, what I'm looking at on the expense side of the house, are we actually lowering that expenditure from 600 to 443? That's what I
You'll
want.
have to do it in
And that's 4470 is not, then
revenue account.
Yes,
4770
2030,
then.
6,300.
that's the one,
That's the one.
Yeah.
that's the one that comes down.
Okay, now I kind of.
I apologize, it's not on there?
I typed out the wrong one. Sorry. That was
All
my
right,
mistake.
all right. But the whole I'm sorry, well, that was on me.
What you're doing now.
Yes.
Yes. It's the expense we're trying to move
So it's
less,
basically taken out of roads to fund these projects. That's what you guys need to decide.
but other roads, it's not restricted funds and it's not the fund balance, it's those dollars we plugged in.
The budget amount.
Yes,
We budgeted
Yes.
600,000 for roads. Now we're changing the budget
Right.
with a budget amendment.
yes.
It's kind of that basic.
Well, other than it's not restricted funds. That's those funds that you're getting there that we're using, and she knows that that's where it comes from. We're going to use all of the funds that are restricted for that purpose. There's no options in that because that's how they're collected, short of council making another decision
Right.
on it. So I'm concerned on where we're getting it within that 600, because some of it we know is not restricted, but some of it is, has to be used for that purpose.
Especially this, you know, what has been set aside from sales tax
Yes.
or roads is
Accumulated,
restricted.
yeah.
Right.
And we'll get the
You can't
expense,
reallocate that to something else, but
Right.
you're not.
just mention the 6,200.
Yeah, it's going to be the 2030, 6,300.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, so barring that account information, it'll tell you right here that we received $194,825.60 in insurance proceeds. That's the way the auditors told us we needed to record it. Is we're going to take it out of 2030, 6,300, the $156,377.58. And the reallocation is going to be the $156,377.58. So out of well, for the budget for the vehicle, for the police department, remember, we moved over the 76,000, right? The vehicle cost 80,900, so we're going to have to come up with 4,900 to cover that expense. The repairs for the vehicles that we received from TML is going to be added to the police department repair account numbers. That's where you're going to see it. And then in Public Works,
That's already been spent, right?
pretty much as far as, I think it's almost done, right? You said the repairs to the vehicle? The insurance repairs.
I saw that somewhere.
Yes, it's probably in there. Yeah, I think one of them's still at Mako or something. Okay, so then for Public Works, for the wood chipper, which is, I'm going to refer to this one because you can see the breakdown. The wood chipper is $109,500 for that, as well as to do the facility upgrades, which there is, in the Public Safety Center, there's some issues there that need to get resolved with restrooms and things like that. And then there is some security upgrades that needs to take place for the city to keep us from, hacks and things like that. So it's financial securities information. So that comes out to $109,500, and then the FTE for the remainder of this year comes out to, and you have in your packet the program that is being recommended before you. There's two options, or I guess a range would be to hire somebody brand new, or if we were to hire somebody who is existing in the department. So for this budget purposes, we are recommending the highest amount, just in case they go ahead and select the person that's internal. So that would be $47,977.60. So that would cover the ordinance 009 for fiscal year '25.
But again, we're taking $156,000 just out of 25. So we have 600,000 budgeted for roads. We're going to take 156,000 out to do these other things. What do we do in 2026 to fund this position?
The position, those dollars that we're reducing it by, specifically dealing with those recurring costs, will always remain moving forward. Those one-time expenses such as your chipper, things of this nature are not.
No, I'm not mentioning the chipper.
And I just
The
said that for the
position.
audit. Do what?
The position.
I said those are recurring costs, and
Correct.
that's why they would have to stay in there and
What do
be
we take it
adjusted.
out of in '26?
The revenue stream will still exist because it was based, remember, that is coming from the revenue that you got coming in from the property tax.
Okay, so back up a second then. Then why are we taking it out of roads? If we already have the money from increased property taxes to fund this 156,000, why are we taking it out of roads?
Because it's in that period is what your budget amendments, both revenues, expenditures carried within that period of 12 months. That's what we're focused on.
know.
In the future, the proposed budget will have to factor that in on a recurring cost for
I
the,
know, I want council to be aware that we are taking a one-time use of road money for this position, and we're going to have to address it in '26. How do we fund this position if we
we differ in that opinion. The revenue from your property taxes has been, the expenses have been adjusted for that. If that expense is lowered for fiscal year, for example, '26, you don't have those dollars you do not, that you lower that expense for roads down, which just has to be lowered down. And you can choose not to do that. You can say, we're going to leave it exactly where it's at, and this program's not going anywhere. I got that.
Or we can accept the program and just accept that property taxes are going to pay for it.
But you're also going to look at it, your next year roads will be that much less, is what I'm trying to say. It will not, since it's a recurring cost, you're not going to get a 600,000
Well, we'll
because you're going
deal
to
with
use
roads
one-time
separately
funds.
From this position.
Yeah, okay,
Roads are, we decide each year how much we're going to spend in roads.
yes. Yeah.
Once you hire somebody, it's, I don't know how to say this. I mean, we're not committed for that position, but basically, we're not going to start a position and then eliminate it.
That's not our intent.
Once we hire someone and have an incremental head count, they're, so we'll have to deal with it each year.
Yes, yes.
This year, we're taking it out of roads. Next year, we're going to have to take it out of something else. Yeah, absolutely. I think wildfire prevention and mitigation is right up there with our financial system and accounting being broken. To me, those are the two highest priorities we have in the city. But yes, you can. I'm not dissing on the program. I'm questioning about the funding. How we fund for it today and how we fund for it.
And I'll just close in this here on this subject here because I know we're running out of time. Every expense that you are going to see in fiscal year in the proposed budget will be within the revenues unless otherwise recommended. This would not be one. The fire, all staffing levels are one of the first things. Salary and benefits is the first thing comes out. Your insurance, your TMRS, all that stuff comes out first. Then we look at what kind of contracts, and there's a process you follow. It's not a one and done and you lost it and what have you. That's not how budgets are put together for government. So
I understand 80% of our property taxes right now go to pay compensation and benefits for employees. 80% of our property taxes. That does not leave much money for special projects. So as we add new positions, we need to be highly sensitive to the payroll load that we have in the city.
can't argue with that. We're going to have we did switch back to TML. I think it's TextPool now. I could be wrong on the name. That is going to be a discussion that's coming up is not on this one here, is it? I think.
Well, just gave them an update. You should have like a little pie graph that was included that had currently up to February, because that's all I had access to. Yeah, it's the last page. And what it shows here so far is just the number of people that we have enrolled. And I do have that right now, based on the amount of premiums that we've paid thus far, along with the amount of claims, we have more claims than we've done premiums than we've paid for premiums. So I have that information that I'll be sharing with you on June the 10th, because that is some alarm. I mean, it's something that, are the rates going to stay the same? Probably not, whether we go out or not, just based on how the big gap is between the amount of claims we have versus the premiums we paid. We can expect a pay increase for employees.
Yeah, and also touch base with as many employees as you can about if they're happy with the plan or not happy with the plan. Because we switched and we thought,
Everyone is happy.
make sure everybody's on board with it. It's not just a financial determination.
Well, I mean, I have a little bit of knowledge when it comes to the plans because I was previously on an employee benefits thing. And as a city, I guess the plan was developed based on what we were able to pay. That's the way, when you get a plan, you tell the insurance providers or you tell whoever, this is what we want. and how much will that cost for us to have that kind of plan. So if I wasn't happy with the plan, and I go and I say, okay, well, I want A, B, C, and D added, well, then the premium, as long as we know, the premium is going to go up to pay for those additional
It's a
services.
balance.
Yeah,
It's a balance. It's a
Yeah.
trade-off. I mean, it's a money decision and it's a morale decision.
Yeah.
And they're all at the same time.
Our employees are the lifeblood of our city.
Right.
I agree. Oh, no, I agree. Yeah.
So-
That's why I just,
We have
I'm an employee too, so we want to change the benefits, and that's something that you all just need to know. It's going to be, probably going to cost, right?
Well, we've done that in the past.
Okay. So the only other thing that I think that I didn't get to go over with you all that was in the packet, which is this. And this is the actual balance before we came to the meeting. I tried to print this as, and you can see the time, 1:24 on the other one, and this one was done like at 3 o'clock. If you were to compare this report, revenue versus expenditure, to the first one that we gave you, oh my gosh, big difference. And again, I want to thank Amanda and everybody, the directors, everybody, gave input. Is it where it needs to be? No, it's not there yet. But every week we are making progress to make sure that it is where it needs to be. You'll see the interest that we've received from the banks, the tax pool resolution that you have before you is so that I can have access and that Mr. Baldwin can have access so that we can get that information, so that we can officially contact them and I can have the backup to make those journal entries or budget adjustments and recognize them in the general ledger. They're in the bank, but I can't really recognize them until I have something other than just the bank reconciliation to show this is what we received. So that's why you have that resolution before you.
And I know we're running out of time, so
done.
I just want to, if you've got any questions, so I just didn't know if there's anything else. I know this is there's going to be more on these items because they're action items, so we'll talk about them again. But that gives you a little bit of background to work from. It's really important for me to have some attention with council on this, finish up the workshop on discuss the fiscal year 26 budget, as well as the authorized representatives. I'll just say that for now, that we need access to our tax pool accounts, and there's a restriction on it. This just allows us to have the right to go ahead and the authority to go ahead and access that account. It's for investment purposes, to know exactly how much interest we're earning and what have you. Right now, I don't think any of us have it, so.
Yeah, one question I had on that, and I don't know the right protocol, but should we have our mayor on this as a backup in case one of the two of you are not handy? I don't know what requires 2 signatures. I don't know what requires 1. And also just as a backup with passwords and online getting in so we're not locked out. He is a trusted,
I don't know the answer.
trusted by our residents, and I just think it might help. And I don't know the legality of
Well,
it.
I don't know because we're a council manager form of government, so I'm not sure how that works. And that was something, we're a council, well, the law reads, the voters passed in 78 was a council manager form of government. So I don't know, to me, he's on by virtue of his office, he's on the investment advisory committee as an officer. So anything that comes through here is going to be a part of that. He's going to be a part of that anyway. I don't have the answer to that. I don't know.
I don't even know if Jimbo wants it, but I guess I would feel better if we had a resident.
You're not person dependent anymore. We're trying to get everybody away from that. I'm not sure that's a good idea because there's training that has to be gone. Well, if you're going to be in part of the investments,
That phone.
it's not only the phone, but the passwords are being recorded. So no one's going to be monopoly moving forward. You all choose how you want to do it, but that's our recommendations. We don't want to see you all back in this spot again. Because Yeah, but as far as having access, you do have it. It wouldn't take much emergency meeting to go ahead and have those if something, we both got wiped out the same day. But I do think it's very important to also don't, if we're responsible for it in management, let management do its job. However, it's under the oversight and it all comes under that investment policy in which the mayor sits as an officer. Preferably, we don't mix roles and except where it's authorized to do so, according to council, but I don't know the answer.
He
to
would
it.
be the,
I don't know what
chair
was,
of the investment committee? Is that what you are? So he could be on here as chair of our investment committee.
I don't know what we're trying to accomplish, is my point is.
Back
He's
up.
not going to, well, back up, we've already gave you, there's going to be codes and everything else for you all. You all decide how you want to do it. I don't know if that's really, because everything else that deals with investments are done through staff, the finance. It's not mixing people, and that's what we're trying to get away from, where we don't have you signing a check for something that you don't really know what we're signing, what we're doing behind the scenes.
Glad we did that. I don't want.
I understand some of it will work, but those, no, not really. It's dealing with controls. And it's, if you want a good, solid internal controls, stick with them. If you want to mix them, that's something you all decide on how you want to do it. You're a governing body. I just don't think that's a great idea personally, but that's your all's call. No, sir. And the rest of it, I just need to pick up on 26. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I apologize for running along. A lot of important stuff we needed to get through, and I anticipate the same with our special session. So we'll go ahead and adjourn the workshop for about 5 minutes, stretch your legs, get you something to drink, and we will reconvene. Time now, whatever the time is.
I just need the budget time to give them.